In general, the most common birthing position is the lithotomy position, a position for surgical procedures and medical examinations involving the pelvis and lower abdomen. The guard shares his expert opinion on this position.
And excuse the description, but I've never done this, and I'm sure nobody else has, but imagine trying to have a bowel movement on your back. That would be uncomfortable.
Right.
Now imagine a human being
Right.
supposed to be pushed out, right? Just like the first example would be difficult, imagine the difficulty it would be to pass a human being from a woman's womb. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
Unless they are simply doing this so that they can cause trauma, because trauma sells. Trauma sells. That's where they get their money from. So even though the United States is considered the most industrial nation on earth, other nations who are considered third world, we have the highest cesarean sections, and we have the highest amount of infant mortality rates, right? So more children die in America, the most industrial place on earth, and black children and black mothers die at an alarming rate because of these procedures, these policies, these procedures, these tactics to get, more money.
As far as positioning in births, there's all type of positions that you can be in when you labor. It's different type of positions you can be in when you labor, even when you're in a hospital. The difference is in an out-of-hospital birth, those different positions are generally encouraged, okay? So that's another thing that doulas can help with, along with midwives, but doulas can help with is different positionings, that only managing pain management, but just allowing positions in which the baby can engage further under the pelvis and on top of the cervix so it can come down. And it's a bunch of different positions, but what they have in common is that they're going to support gravity and they're going to support the pelvis opening up so that baby can be in the best position possible. In the hospital setting, you have to really work to try to birth in different positions, because what's better for the nurse and what's better for the obstetrician is for you to be on your back. And that kind of defies, gravity, but it makes sense to them because they can see everything because you're on your back, right? But that's not always the best way to birth, especially if a baby is in a bad position, not being able to move around, and either having an epidural or being given Pitocin or something like that are some of the many things that just add on to what they call the slippery slope of interventions that cause a cesarean. And so, not saying you can't have a vaginal birth in the hospital. My first child, we had to transfer from the birth center to the hospital because my water broke early for the birth center. Another thing about birth centers have different regulations than home birth. And so birth center, because of their insurance, generally speaking, they may not be able to allow you to birth if you go earlier than 37 weeks. That's maybe an automatic transfer. And so we were like 36 in some days. My water broke and I was in labor. So I had to be transferred. And so we ended up having our baby vaginally. I didn't have any meds, but I did have all my prenatal care with the midwife, So it was one of those things where I knew what type of birth I wanted to have and had that support and had that care. That just happened to have my baby in the hospital setting. So it's not impossible, but you got to definitely go in there educated.
If Mecca did this.